Okay, so Proctor sets the scene here and he doubles down and says, okay, my wife, she never lies. There are them that cannot sing, them that cannot weep. My wife cannot lie, and I have paid much to learn it. So he's like, my wife is the most honest woman ever. And Danforth says, and when she put her Abigail out of the house, she knew her for a harlot. Aye, sir. Okay, so he says, good. And he turns to Abigail and he says, if she tell me, child, it were for harlotry, meaning like prostitution almost, may God spread his mercy on you. So this is the moment. Okay, there's a knock at the door. And he says, wait. And he says to Abigail, turn your back. And Proctor do likewise. So here they are facing away. So there's going to be this interesting, intense thing where Proctor is going to be turning one way, Abigail's facing the other. Elizabeth's going to be brought in and facing the judge. He says, now neither of you turn to face Goody Proctor, right? They don't want to be able to give her any, like, he doesn't want Proctor being like, yeah, tell the truth. Either of you may not speak a word or raise a gesture, A or nay. And he says, okay, make sure you keep this testimony perfectly in all its exactness. Are you ready? Here we go. He says, come here, woman, look at me only, not at your husband, in my eyes only. Good sir. We are given to understand that at one time you dismissed your servant, Abigail Williams. That is true, sir. For what cause did you dismiss her? You will look in my eyes only and not at your husband. So she's trying to look over at Proctor saying, like, what's all this about? The answer is in your memory and you need no help to give it to me. Why did you dismiss Abigail Williams? And she's like, not knowing what she's supposed to be answering here, but she knows this is a bad scene. She says, she dissatisfied me and my husband. In what way dissatisfied you? And she keeps trying to look over at Proctor. Woman, look at me. Were she slovenly, lazy? What disturbance did she cause? Your Honor, I in that time I was sick, and my husband is a good and righteous man. He's never drunk as some are, nor wasting his time at the shovelboard, but always at his work. But in my sickness, you see, I were a long time sick after my last baby, and I thought I saw my husband somewhat turning from me. And this girl, okay, so she first of all gives a lot of context, and she's like, my husband's a good, righteous guy, and he's not like other bad husbands, but I was sick. She was obviously sick with her last pregnancy. That also gives some context to what was happening. And she starts to seemingly admit what we're like, yes, say it. She sees Proctor turning away from her. Look at me. I, sir, Abigail Williams. What of Abigail Williams? I came to think he fancied her, and so one night I lost my wits, I think, and I put her out on the high road. So then she kind of backs off of it, and she's like, I thought there was something going on, but there wasn't, but I kicked her out. Your husband, did he indeed turn from you? My husband is a goodly man, sir. Then he did not turn from you? Look at me. To your own knowledge, has John Proctor ever committed the crime of lechery? So he straight up asks the question, yes or no. Here we are again in black and white territory. She's trying to get context, and he's asking for a black and white answer. In a crisis of indecision, she cannot speak. Answer my question. Is your husband a lecher? And then she says, no, sir. Devastating moment. Devastating moment. All she had to say was yes, but she says no. And Danforth says, take her out of here. And Proctor yells, Elizabeth, tell the truth. She has spoken, remove her. Proctor crying out says, Elizabeth, I have confessed it. Oh, the irony. Oh, the irony. Oh, God, she says. And the door closes behind her. It's a great metaphoric moment. The door closes, not just literally, but this is now an irrevocable moment that has happened. And Proctor says, she only thought to save my name, right? Obviously she lied for my reputation. And Hale, please mark this next passage, says, Excellency, it is a natural lie to tell. I beg you, stop before another is condemned. I may shut my conscience to it no more. Private vengeance is working through this testimony. From the beginning, this man has struck me as true. By my oath to heaven, I believe him now, and I pray you call back his wife before we... Okay, so Hale's converted. This is so interesting, right? He actually thinks that this is now, that the proceedings are a lie. Abigail's a liar, that he actually believes in Proctor. And Danforth says, no, she spoke nothing of lechery and this man has lied. I believe him. This girl has always struck me false. So now Hale's starting to finally use his instinct. And he's like, that guy always seemed legit. She always seemed a little sketchy. And now I'm starting to doubt everything that has been happening. As soon as Abigail gets called out, what happens? Abigail, with a weird, wild, chilling cry, screams up at the ceiling. "You will not be gone, I say." "What is it, child?" says Danforth. But Abigail, pointing with fear, is now only looking at the ceiling. And now all the girls are doing the same. And now all the men in the court are looking up at the ceiling. "What's there? Child, girls, why do you?" And she's literally like, they're all like whimpering and staring at the ceiling. "On the beam, behind the rafter. Where? Why do you come, yellow bird?" "What bird? I see no bird," says Proctor. He's the only one who's like, "What the hell?" And she's like, "My face? My face?" So, okay, she says, but God made my face. You cannot want to tear my face. Envy is a deadly sin, Mary. Okay, so now she is implying that Mary, which this was the belief that people who were possessed by the devil could change their form into other creatures, that literally Mary's spirit has become an invisible bird that's up on the rafters in the courtroom, and that the bird wants to come down and tear off Abigail's face because she's jealous of Abigail. And Mary Warren is like, she's like, "No, I don't want to." And she's like, "Oh, Mary, this is a black art to change your shape. No, I cannot stop my mouth. It's God's work I do." So in other words, as if Mary's Satan spirit is threatening Abigail to shut up. And she's like, "But I can't. I'm doing God's work. I have to keep saying the truth." And Mary's like, "Abby, I'm here. I'm not up there." "They're pretending, Mr. Danforth," says Proctor. "Oh, Mary, don't come down." So she's like, now it's like, it's her Oscar-winning moment here. And now the other girls start piling on. "Her claws, she's stretching her claws. Lies. So we have this incredible tension at this moment in the courtroom, right? The girls are all hysterical. Most of the men are transfixed by what the girls are doing. Proctor's kind of on the side being like, "What is this?" "Mary, please don't hurt me." "I'm not hurting her," says Mary Warren. Why does she see this vision? She sees nothing. And now, this is the freakiest part. If you see this like on stage or even in a film version, it's like chilling, like absolutely eerie. Now Abigail stares fully front as though hypnotized, and she mimics the exact tone of Mary Warren's cry. So everything is like literally like when, like your 8-year-old little brother is like annoying you and just like won't stop repeating everything you say, except like in this case, it's like ends up with people who are going to be murdered. So Mary Warren says, "She sees nothing." And Abby's response is, "She sees nothing." And then Mary Warren says, "Abby, you mustn't." And now Abby and all the girls transfixed say, "Abby, you mustn't." There's like this choral speaking, like you have to hear it with all the voices to fully appreciate how chilling this is. Because it's really sort of a embodiment of what it means for all these people to join into the chorus of evil, and that feeling that you'll never get out of it because you're one voice against all these voices. So it literally becomes almost a metaphor for that. And she says, I'm here. And all the girls say, I'm here. "Mary Warren, draw back your spirit out of them," says Danforth. Mr. Danforth, have you compacted with the devil, have you?" Never. "Why can they only repeat you?" And Proctor says, "Give me a whip, I'll stop it." He's like, "This is nonsense, let me beat it out of them." And Mary Warren says, "They're sporting, they're pretending, they're sporting." Mary Warren turns on them hysterically, stamps her feet. "Abby, stop it. Abby, stop it. Stop it. So this is literally like they're facing off against her. And Mary Warren becomes overwhelmed, starts to cry, and then the girls start to mimic her cry. And Danforth says, "A little while ago you were afflicted. Now it seems you afflict others. Where did you find this power?" And Mary Warren says, "I have no power." And the girls say, "I have no power." "They're gulling you, mister. They're faking. They're tricking you," says Proctor. Why did you turn about this past 2 weeks? You have seen the devil, have you not?" Hale is like, "You cannot believe them. Come on." So we have only 2 people in the courtroom. They're standing up against this. And Proctor says, "Mary, God damns all liars." So he's worried at this moment that she's about to turn and go over to the other side. He's like, no, careful. And Danforth's like, "Have you seen the devil? Have you made a compact with Lucifer? God damns liars." So here is poor Mary Warren, this little 17-year-old uneducated servant, and she is now caught between this really scary judge, her boss, her male boss, and then all of this terrifying power figure of Abigail. And here she is in the middle of this Bermuda Triangle trying to figure out what she's supposed to do. She says something quietly, and Danforth's like, "I cannot hear you. What did you say? You will confess yourself or you will hang. Do you know who I am? I say you will hang if you do not open with me." And Proctor says, "Mary, remember the angel Raphael, do that which is good." And Abigail decides to start escalating the situation. Her wings are spreading, Mary, please don't. And Hale says, I see nothing, Your Honor. Do you confess this power? Speak. She's going to come down. She's walking the beam. Will you speak? So again, it's very hard as a one-woman show to fully embody what this would be like in the courtroom, but you really have to picture the tension between poor Mary in the middle of all these forces being pulled against her. I cannot. Cast out the devil, look him in the face, trample him. We'll save you, Mary. Only stand fast against him. So Paris kind of gives her that out again, like, come over to the side of good and you won't have to be in trouble. And Abigail says, look out, she's coming down. And all the girls then kind of flatten themselves. They run to the other side of the courtroom and they're like, like screaming and flattening themselves against a wall. And Proctor goes over to Mary and she then says to him, don't touch me, don't touch me. And he says, what are you doing? And she then turns on Proctor and says, you're the devil's man. Oh, no. He stops in his tracks. Praise God, says Paris. Oh, good. We're going to take down Proctor now. And the girls all say, praise God. Proctor is numb. Mary, how? He's like, no, please don't do this. I'll not hang with you. I love God. I love God. So much like at the beginning of the first act, where Abigail realized the only way out of this is to go with the powers that be, go with the courts, say you love God, convert, go over to the good side, and it all goes away. And Danforth says, he bids you do the devil's work. He come at me by night and every day to sign. Sign what? The devil's book? He come with a book? He want my name. I'll murder you, he says, if my wife hangs. We must go and overthrow the court, he says. So she just throws him fully under the bus right now. And Proctor turns to Hale. He's like, oh, come on, you know, she knows she's lying. He wake me every night. His eyes were like coals and his fingers claw my neck and I sign. So she learns from Abigail's book of theatrical over-the-topness and she's like, oh, let me just draw this really vivid picture of Proctor trying to like call me over to the devil's side. And Hale says, excellent, this child's gone wild. He's like, come on, can't you see that she's making this up? She's crazy. And Proctor's like, Mary, please, you have to stop this. And she says, no, I love God. I go your way no more. I love God, bless God. And then she goes to Abigail. Abby, I'll never hurt you more. And Abby, I love the stage direction. Abby, out of her infinite charity, reaches out and draws the sobbing Mary to her. So she lets her back into her arms and she kind of, I just always imagine this like smirk on her face as if she's like, yes, I'm Abigail. I always win in the end. Oh, that's so funny. You thought you were going to go against me and win. Never. And Danforth turns to Proctor and he says, what are you? You are combined with Antichrist, are you not? I've seen your power. You will not deny it. What say you, mister? So now this is kind of conveniently proving everything Danforth wanted to believe, which is that Proctor just came to overthrow their court and he's trying to undermine everything and he's really with Satan. Hale tries to interject and says, Excellency, says, I will have nothing from you, Mr. Hale. Will you confess yourself befouled with heaven, he asks Proctor, or do you keep that black allegiance yet? What say you? He's like, so, you ready to confess that you're with the devil? And Proctor, please mark this line, his mind wild, like he's lost it at this point. He says, I say God is dead. Okay, so what he means, of course, in that situation is that if they are the representatives of God and he came in there only trying to do right, as he said to Mary, just do right and right will happen, and things have turned so wrong, he's like, God is dead, meaning there is no justice. So we see that in a weird way, even though he and his wife didn't have the most perfect relationship, this is similar to what she did in Act 2, where she's like, well, if you say that I'm a witch, then there are no such thing as witches. So again, there's their kind of authenticity coming through both of them very similarly. And Paris is so happy. He's like, hear it. He's like, I told you this guy was against God. And Proctor laughs insanely because this is all insane. It's an upside down world. He says, a fire is burning. I hear the boot of Lucifer. I see his filthy face, and it is my face, and it is yours. For them that quail to bring men out of ignorance as I have quailed. And as you quail now, when you know in all your black hearts that this be fraud, God damns our kind especially, and we will burn together. So he's basically calling them hypocrites. He says, I've been a hypocrite, you've been a hypocrite. He's like, oh, the devil's here, all right. The devil's in all of us. What you're doing right now is actually the devil's work. So he's trying to say truth, but truth right now looks like the worst kind of heresy. And Danforth says, that's it, take him and Giles to jail. And Hale says, I denounce these proceedings. He's like, I'm out, I'm not part of this anymore. And Proctor screams, you are pulling down heaven and raising up a whore. So he literally just lays the truth straight out. He's like, you want to know what the truth is here? The truth is she's a liar, and you are supporting her, and you are saying that it's in the name of heaven, and it is not. Hale repeats, I denounce these proceedings, I quit this court, and Danforth calls after him in a fury, Mr. Hale, Mr. Hale. Okay, so as you go into the final act, Proctor's in jail, Giles is in jail, Elizabeth is in jail, Abigail continues to thrive. The court has not been overthrown despite the fact that Proctor has taken his entire reputation and destroyed it. How is the world ever going to be set right? Is the world going to be set right? Are people going to die? Is Proctor going to have some kind of Hail Mary, not Mary Warren, other kind of Hail Mary, that's going to get him out of this? Like, what on earth is going to set this world right again?